Richmond is once again grappling with a significant water problem. Just this week, on Monday, May 26, 2025, a major water main break plunged a large portion of the city into a precautionary boil water advisory. The advisory means tap water is potentially unsafe to drink or use for cooking unless it's boiled vigorously for at least 1 minute. For businesses that rely heavily on clean, readily available water, this announcement triggered immediate and difficult decisions. The city's Department of Public Utilities issued the alert after a critical failure in the system, leading to concerns about potential contamination. The immediate impact on Richmond's eateries was palpable. Phones started ringing off the hook, not with reservation requests, but with cancellations and questions. Restaurant owners and managers, many still reeling from previous disruptions, found themselves scrambling. The advisory acts like a sudden brake applied to the local economy, with the food service industry feeling the jolt most acutely. This recent boil water advisory is particularly painful for Richmond's restaurants because it strikes while many are still struggling to recover from a similar crisis earlier this year. Back in January 2025, a different infrastructure failure led to days of widespread water outages and boil advisories. That event forced numerous restaurants to close their doors, leading to significant financial losses. They lost perishable inventory, paid staff for hours they couldn't work, and missed out on crucial revenue. The memory of that hardship is still fresh, making this new advisory feel like a cruel repeat. Businesses were just beginning to see a semblance of normalcy return. They had been slowly rebuilding their customer base and restocking their pantries. Now, they face another period of uncertainty and financial strain. The psychological toll on owners and their employees cannot be understated. When a boil water advisory is issued, restaurants don't just get to decide on their own how to proceed. The Virginia Department of Health has specific guidelines that food establishments must follow to protect public health. These guidelines are stringent and non-negotiable. First and foremost, any tap water used for drinking, cooking, food preparation, or dishwashing must be brought to a rolling boil for at least 1 minute and then cooled before use. This is a time-consuming and resource-intensive process for a busy kitchen. The VDH also mandates that restaurants discontinue the use of ice made from the municipal water supply, as well as any drinks from soda fountains connected to tap water. The practicalities of adhering to these state guidelines present a significant operational challenge for Richmond's restaurants. Imagine a bustling kitchen trying to boil every gallon of water needed for pasta, soups, or even washing vegetables. It requires large pots, constant monitoring, and a lot of fuel or electricity. Many establishments simply don't have the capacity to do this on a large scale. As a result, they must switch entirely to commercially bottled water for all consumption and cooking purposes. In the face of this latest boil water advisory, Richmond's restaurant community has responded in a variety of ways, dictated by their individual circumstances, resources, and the nature of their cuisine. The immediate aftermath of the announcement saw a flurry of activity as owners and managers quickly assessed their situations. For some, the only viable option was to close their doors temporarily. This decision, though painful, was often made to ensure absolute customer safety, or because the logistical hurdles of operating under the advisory were simply too great to overcome in a cost-effective manner. Signs announcing temporary closures due to the water issue quickly appeared on many storefronts. Several well-known Richmond establishments, particularly those with complex menus heavily reliant on fresh, clean water for preparation, made the difficult choice to cease operations until the advisory is lifted. They cited concerns about maintaining their quality standards and the sheer impracticality of boiling enough water or purchasing sufficient quantities of bottled water to meet their needs. For these businesses, the cost of staying open under such restrictive conditions, coupled with potentially lower customer traffic, outweighed the benefits. Section 5. Spotlight on Survival, a look at the Fan District's response. The Fan District, one of Richmond's most iconic neighborhoods, is renowned for its charming residential streets and, crucially, its dense and diverse collection of restaurants, cafes, and bars. This area, heavily impacted by the current boil water advisory, serves as a microcosm of the city-wide struggle. Its eateries range from high-end dining establishments to casual student hangouts and beloved neighborhood coffee shops. The sudden imposition of water restrictions has sent a shockwave through this normally bustling culinary hub, forcing each business to make tough choices about how or if they can continue to operate safely and effectively. Consider a popular coffee shop in the Fan, a place usually buzzing with morning commuters and students. Their entire business model revolves around coffee, espresso, and tea, all requiring hot, clean water. Under the advisory, they cannot simply use water from their tap-connected espresso machine or brewer. Instead, they must meticulously boil large quantities of water or purchase vast amounts of bottled spring water. Enough is enough. Owners voice frustration at mayoral briefing. As the BoilWaterAdvisory stretched into its second day, Richmond's Mayor LeVar Stoney, alongside officials from the Department of Public Utilities, held a media briefing on Tuesday afternoon, May 27th, to update the public. The briefing was intended to provide information on repair progress and the expected timeline for lifting the advisory. However, it quickly became a platform for frustrated restaurant owners, many of whom attended, to voice their deep-seated anger and exasperation. Their message was clear. These recurring water crises are crippling their businesses, and they demand more than just apologies and short-term fixes from the city. The specific frustrations aired by the assembled restaurant owners were numerous and heartfelt. They spoke of the thousands of dollars in lost revenue each day the advisory remains in effect. The countdown to clean water. Lifting the advisory. Understanding what a boil water advisory truly signifies from a technical standpoint is key to grasping why it takes time to lift. Such advisories are typically issued when there's a loss of water pressure in the distribution system, often due to a major pipe break, like the one Richmond is currently experiencing. This loss of pressure creates a risk that untreated groundwater or other contaminants, potentially including harmful bacteria like E. coli, could enter the drinking water supply. Therefore, the advisory is a precautionary measure to protect public health until the safety of the water can be definitively reestablished. It's not just about fixing the pipe, it's about ensuring the entire affected system is clean. The first step the city's Department of Public Utilities, DPU, must take is, of course, to repair the source of the problem, in this case, the ruptured water main. This can be a complex and time-consuming task, involving excavation, replacing the damaged section of pipe, and then carefully restoring service. Once the physical repair is complete, the DPU must then thoroughly flush the affected portions of the water system. This flushing process helps to remove any stagnant water or potential contaminants that may have entered the pipes while the pressure was low. Economic tremors. The broader impact on Richmond's pulse. The economic impact of this boil water advisory on Richmond extends far beyond the immediate lost sales at restaurants. While those direct losses are significant, encompassing spoiled food, the inability to serve customers, and the wages paid to staff for unworked or underproductive hours, the ripple effects spread throughout the local economy. Consider the suppliers, food distributors, linen services, local farms that provide produce to these restaurants. They, too, see a drop in orders and income when their clients are forced to close or drastically limit operations. This creates a chain reaction of economic disruption that can be quite damaging. Beyond the direct supply chain, there are other indirect economic consequences. Delivery drivers who rely on restaurant orders for their income see a reduction in their earnings. Beyond, this boils securing Richmond's water future for businesses. In the immediate future, Richmond's restaurant community is focused on one thing: the swift and safe lifting of the current boil water advisory. They are anxiously awaiting the all-clear from the Department of Public Utilities so they can begin the process of flushing their systems, restocking their kitchens, and fully reopening their doors to customers. The cleanup will involve not just purging pipes, but also thoroughly sanitizing all food preparation surfaces and equipment. For those that closed, there's the task of recalling staff and hoping that patrons return quickly. The financial hit has already been taken, but the hope is to stanch the bleeding as soon as possible. Looking towards the medium term, this latest crisis must serve as a catalyst for serious, sustained action on Richmond's aging water infrastructure. Restaurant owners, along with concerned residents, are amplifying their calls for significant investment in upgrading and maintaining the city's network of pipes, pumps, and treatment facilities. This isn't just about patching breaks as they occur. It's about proactive replacement of outdated components and the implementation of modern monitoring systems to detect potential failures before they escalate into citywide emergencies. Clear, transparent, and adequately funded long-range plans are essential to prevent these costly disruptions from becoming a regular feature of life in Richmond.